So how is my audio now from the last week? Is there any improvement from before? I think the quality of voice should improve. I was expecting there should be some improvement in the quality of audio. I hope so. What do you think, Shankar?
Yeah, quality of audio is improved right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. So because I am trying with my new headset, so I expect like maybe like it is better than before.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes.
So last week actually we discussed we completed Docker, right? So Docker in single container we started 3 sessions back, and then multi-container container with external services. Um, and we all tested with Travis CA, right? So we learned about Travis CA and how do we connect with AWS. So also last week we actually discussed about Azure services. So we made a Azure app services resource and created a Azure web app, and we deployed into Azure web app using Travis, right? So that was the learning that we had done. So I have posted the link which I got in the WhatsApp group also, so that not only AWS we can actually deploy in Azure also using Travis. So that's what we learned in the last week. So out of CI/CD tools, we learned only Travis. Afterwards, we had introduction on Jenkins also. In 2 sessions back, we had introduction of Jenkins, how it works. So hope you all know about how to start a basic Jenkins, how the UI looks like. We had a very good discussion uh, on running a Jenkins instance in our local machine using Docker instance, right? So that's what we did. We learned, and mm, we were able to deploy. We were able to host the Jenkins web application, so which actually essentially runs on 808 support and so on, right? So today we will continue from there. We will actually learn more and more about Jenkins. So we had a bit of theory. We are more into like practical implementation in everywhere as much as possible. So we learned bit of theory. So the theory to remember, we always have to remember the architecture of the Jenkins. We had gone through that. So hopefully we again will revisit the same now. I'll start sharing my screen and we'll go through this from the start of Jenkins today. And probably the whole session will be all about Jenkins. I hope I will cover most of the things in Jenkins. So because Jenkins is a open source tool, it is very worthful to learn because it is generic to any companies where you actually work. You can actually recommend Jenkins because it will be very cost effective. It is agnostic of any commercial app or any cloud infrastructure. You can actually use Jenkins for AWS or any kind of cloud services, say Azure, AWS, Google GCP, or in your own specific production machines. You can use it everywhere. So you can also Jenkins currently has been flexible enough to actually enhance Dockerized versions. It has Docker plugins also. So I think it's worth to learn Jenkins more than the Travis. So so we will learn more about Jenkins today. Let me share my screen. I think I shared. Okay. Okay. So let me open the Jenkins. Yeah. So let's go through the slides of Jenkins bit by bit to learn more. Let learn about the concepts of Jenkins, how it actually uh, achieves the purpose of CI/CD. right? So so a lot of discussions are already been recorded by our previous colleague Ashok Singh. You can actually go through the recorded videos whenever you have time. A lot of things are there already discussed, whatever there in the slides. So we will actually go through the same again. Um, so it's basic. Jenkins is pretty much a powerful tool for continuous integration. It is used, as I said, it is a open source technology, and Jenkins basically is built in Java, right? So, we already had discussed in the previous two sessions back that what are the basic things required to actually run a Jenkins instance in any of the machine, how to install Jenkins, what are the prerequisites. So the last discussion we had, like, we just need to install OpenJDK. That's what we did. That's what we did, right? And afterwards, we are good to go with installing of Jenkins. Uh, so how to install Jenkins we have already looked at, but today again we have to go through that to create a fresh Jenkins instance from scratch. So we have the architecture of Jenkins, and we will discuss a bit about architecture of Jenkins. Before that, we had a discussion of like how things used to work before Jenkins happened and how things changed, how things improved after Jenkins came into picture. Okay, so this is like before Jenkins, we already discussed about it. So here you can see that a lot of because of unautomated process, things were going very slow, and it was very difficult to identify who has where was the problem in the entire delivery process. Um, so uh, there are multiple developers. They were working independently, and they were actually committing the changes. And it was a little bit a tedious process to identify where exactly the problem came. There was a little bit of separate human intervention needed, and it took a lot of time to identify a particular bug that has happened in the deployment process. And so that was a problem that happened during before Jenkins, right? So after Jenkins was introduced, things got automated, and the vulnerabilities, sorry, not vulnerabilities, the problems were actually identified pretty much faster than before. So that was the advantage of Jenkins, right? So that's all about the main advantages of Jenkins. So the key here is like whatever you do in your as a daily process software the software development. uh, you need to automate it. That's best strategy. So doesn't make sense to actually do things manually, which you do daily basis. The repeated things like um, why you should waste your energy on doing the same things again and again. So that Jenkins does the same thing. So in process of continuous integration, Jenkins helps us in automating, build it one time and run it multiple times, right? So that helps us in improving the process, also reducing the donkey work of doing repeating the same thing again and again. So Jenkins is a automation tool when it comes to continuous integration, right? So that's what we discussed. So to give a brief, like along with Jenkins, other tools we have discussed like Docker, that perhaps that we might build on different languages. So Jenkins is one of the tools that helps us in the entire CI/CD pipeline, but it is the most important tool which actually integrates different machines together, where means like it actually makes a bridge between our source version control and how it takes the code from the source version control, how it actually creates the artifact, how it tests uh, the different kind of performance tests or unit tests. And then after all those things actually Jenkins has a framework to complete all these tasks. So basically Jenkins runs them as different stages. um, so that's That's how continuous integration Jenkins takes place. Right? So similarly, we have looked into the um, we have looked into few of the slides in the last session. I'm just going through it quickly. Um, right, you all know, right? So we already have discussed all these things, right? So just to warm up ourselves, warm up ourselves, like what exactly we are achieving by Jenkins. I'm actually going through these slides. So continuous integration. So this is the slide which helps us to refresh our mind about how what exactly the continuous integration is, right? Um, so whenever a commit happens in the repository, then CA server, in this case, it is the Jenkins server. CA server in our case is Jenkins server. It actually gets activated. It pulls the latest changes from the repository that you can see from the repo from this arrow mark, and then it actually performs the specific tasks. So CA server actually works pa- works on different projects. Uh, some projects may be only developer specific. Developers may be interested in few things of whether his build is working fine or not, whether the entire source code that his way of testing the things are working fine or not, right? Similarly, testers also have their own test specific, whether whatever the checked developer is working fine as a part of his QA test or as a part of his performance test, integration test or not. So Jenkins provides a different kind of sandboxed projects where they can actually run for each and every commit that the developer test or test can run on every night builds or every day as the code as the code development happens, as the code changes, right? So this is what the slide explains about. So basically, we will learn about uh, how the Jenkins is helping us in CI people as Travis, as we have seen in the previous session. The same thing, how we can achieve using Jenkins, right? So we have other tools also in the market. Uh, Bamboo, Buildboard, Jenkins, Travis, and Team City. So this is what the slide says about the different kind of tools. So we have actually we are touching the we have already touched Travis CI pretty much, and Jenkins we are going to test now. Those two should be enough. So just to give an idea, other than Jenkins and Travis CI, we have other tools also for CI/CD pipeline. Even GitHub provides us with its own CI/CD tool, which is called GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions, which you can actually see in when you go to GitHub, there is a separate tabs called GitHub Action. You can actually explore that also. And in fact, we have a video session recorded here itself, which introduces GitHub Actions also. So which is actually missing here in this wheel. So there is another CI/CD CI/CD tool in GitHub which we already have a recorded session. We can actually go through that also. So we have gone through like how to easily install Jenkins, wow, and what are the steps what are the steps involved in installing Jenkins in different environments. In the previous session, we have gone through how to install Jenkins using Docker way. So like we went to Docker Hub and install Jenkins. We'll go through that again quickly so that we can actually um, recollect what we have discussed in the past sessions. So this slide helps us in understanding about the main theory, what main architecture, what are main features, functionalities provided by Jenkins, right? So very important things are like how do we how can we install Jenkins in different environments? There is not a single way of installation. It's based upon which operating system you are going to install. So different package installers are there for different operating systems. For CentOS machines, yum package is there. For Ubuntu machines, we have apt install. For Mac, we have brew. And for Windows, we have executables, which you can actually just install it, right? MSI installation or EXE installation. So installations are different for different. So once we know one way, then we can implement it in different ways. Of course, nowadays, like we have Docker way of installing Jenkins, which doesn't have any footprints, much amount of footprints in the operating system, right? So we can actually do a Docker installations also. Yeah. Yeah. The most prominent thing that we need to remember about Jenkins is plugins. So plugins is everything. Plugins are everything in Jenkins. Like Jenkins just provides the infrastructure for adding as many plugins as possible. So Jenkins is the core Jenkins core engine runs on Java, and it provides a door where where as many plugins as possible can be installed. So everything is plugins in Jenkins. You can actually see that when you actually first time install Jenkins, Jenkins actually asks you to install some recommended plugins, which forms the base core of Jenkins. Like even GitHub, even the main core Jenkins pipeline is a plugin in Jenkins. GitHub pipeline. There are a few other plugins like for code coverage. We have Sonar, for better way of creation of jobs. We have something called Blue Ocean, um, so on. So everything is plugin in Jenkins. We'll go through whenever we install Jenkins. We are supposed to install plugins as per a requirement. So so we'll go through the steps of how to actually install plugins also in this session today itself. So as Jenkins is all is plugin based, so it is always extensible. So if you want extra features, you can just install extra plugins. So as Shankaram mentioned, like we can have SMS plugin, we can have our own SMS plugin, as we have our own mail plugin. So we can extend our Jenkins to send mails by adding a email plugin. And if you want to send SMSs, we can add SMS plugin and so on, right? So it is easily extendable based upon needs. Jenkins has a good ecosystem, and whatever plugins, almost everything in Jenkins uh, plugins are almost free. You can just go and add those plugins. Yeah, so Jenkins also has the distributed feature. So imagine that you are running on one particular machine, and suppose there you have installed the Jenkins server. And what happens if that particular machine is overloaded? You have to actually increase and if there is no scope of increasing the size of scale the machine size, and Jenkins is overwhelmed. So that is solved by providing a distributed architecture of Jenkins. So Jenkins has a concept of master slaves. So if the master is unable to do the task, or master is supposed to run on a specific environment, run some builds on a specific environment only, it can actually have a master slave architecture. It can actually delegate the tasks to its slaves. So we can configure as many slaves as possible to our Jenkins server, and the tasks can be just delegated to those servers. So that is how the distributed architecture of Jenkins works. Okay. Okay, so enough amount of theory we have discussed. So I think we already gone through this all in the previous sessions. So we again visited through it. I hope you have did some homework on to run Jenkins in your side. Like if you have any questions, then we can have a discussion. So today what we'll go do is like we will step by step learn about how to build Jenkins server from scratch, and what are the vital functions of Jenkins that are supposed to be used by default in 99% of the companies where Jenkins is being used. We will cover most of all of the basic fundamental core functionalities of Jenkins, how to install a Jenkins, how to configure master server, how to actually um, uh, create projects, specific to test, specific to dev, role-based access, and how to actually make a build, how to make sure that whenever a push from the GitHub happens, that is being caught by Jenkins by different means. What are the different ways of catching the GitHub pushes and executing those builds and deploying the artifacts to the specific servers. So we'll go through all those steps step by step here as a part of today's session. Yeah. So 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 whatever we have achieved using Travis, we will try to achieve the same or more using Jenkins today. Okay. So first step as a part of this, first step is to install Jenkins on AWS EC2 instances. How to do that? So we have already a repo which clearly helps us in creating Jenkins installation. So we'll go through that step now. I think this is a repo. Yeah, so let's log into our EC2 instance. Let's create an EC2 instance first as a part of installation of Jenkins. Let's go to AWS console. Before that, let me close all others. Okay. All right. So let's install Jenkins now. So let's go to our AWS console. We log into our AWS console. So I'm logging to my root console as an administrator. Okay, so now we will go to our EC2 service. So we can go to EC2 service directly from the frequently used EC service, or we can actually come type in the top and find out the EC2 service and go there. And we will try to create an instance. So to create an instance, we will say launch instance. Let's put the name it as Jenkins. Okay, so we are actually doing it in CentOS. We can actually do it in any OS also because we have already video sessions recorded with CentOS. It is good. It will be good for us to actually recollect how we have done as a part of the session. So now we are opting for CentOS 8. So we'll just select the CentOS 8 now. It's a free tier. We'll continue to with CentOS 8. We are trying to create a CentOS EC2 instance. Okay, so you know how to create a key pair, right? So you just need to click on this key pair. So this key pair is used as an authentication mechanism. It actually generates a PEM file. Using that PEM file, you can actually log into your SSH into your EC2 instance that you are creating right now. So in the previous session already, I remember I have created a key pair. I'm going to reuse the same Jenkins key pair. So I can see that in my combo list of existing already available key pair. I'm going to select that also. If you want to create your own key pair, you can just click on this create new pair, new key pair, and you can actually use that key pair. When you click on this create new pair, you will be asked to download. You can actually download that key pair, and you can use that particular key pair for SSH. So when you download, it will be there in it will be available in your download directory. So you can actually verify that somewhere with PEM. It should be there with PEM as a part of download. I think I downloaded it long back, so it should be there somewhere in the. So here you can see there are a lot of PMs I have in which I should be able to see the Jenkins PM. What's the name of it? Jenkins.pem. I should be able to see Jenkins.pem. Uh, Yeah, so this is I had already downloaded the PM Jenkins.pm that I already have. So I'm okay with using the key pair which I already created a few weeks back. Now, after that, you can opt to go with creating your security group. You just go and create a security group. Probably you have to, because our Jenkins server by default runs on port number 8080. So you have to make sure that the port 8080 for EC2 instance is open for any of uh, is open for external use, either for only for you or for the entire world, whatever option you actually select based upon the security group option, right? So by default, it exposes SSH traffic. Other than SSH traffic, you can add rules. You can configure your security group to expose port 8080, which we can do it later also. So for now, we just verify this. Uh, we are just going to launch the instance. We are creating only one instance of EC2 now, and we are just clicking the launch instance. So this will actually create EC2 instance, which we are going to use for Jenkins. All right. So let the EC2 instance come up. Let's wait for some time for the EC2 instance to come up. So parallelly, what we can actually do is we can think about what we need to do with this EC2 instance. What are the other services we need? What is our main aim of using Jenkins, right? So we need to deploy, we need to have a deployment machine where we have to actually deploy our artifacts, right? We can actually go for EBS, Elastic Beanstalk, and we can deploy, or we can do it later. For now, let's focus on step by step of creation of Jenkins, installation of Jenkins. So now our instance is ready. So our instance is already ready. EC2 instance is ready. We have to go to our instance, and our main first primary focus is to install Jenkins inside this instance. For this, we need to log in into the instance, right? So to log in into instance, we have AWS makes our work easy. It actually just provides us with what are the steps we can do to actually log into the instance. So we just need to copy this particular SSH command. So right, this is the command, SSH command that is used to connect to our EC2 machine from terminal, right? You can just go to our terminal here and let me clear everything. Yep. So we can actually go to our terminal. I am inside a virtual environment. Let me log out. Let me create a new terminal. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now I am clear in my home directory. So I can actually log into my terminal using SSH command, which AWS has already provided me. But I have downloaded my Jenkins.pm as I have mentioned in the downloads folder. So I will go to downloads folder. So go to this downloads folder, Jenkins.pm. And so this is where we are going, right? So Jenkins.pm is there in my downloads folder in Jenkins.pm, which I have downloaded previous sessions. So I will use the same Jenkins.pm and connect. So it is asking now to connect whether are you sure whether you want to connect or not? Yes. So now I am logged in into my EC2 instance. This is my EC2 instance, right? So here I can install Jenkins. So before installing the Jenkins, I need to make sure that I can do it later also, but there is no like must to do now or later. So, but at the end of the day, our Jenkins will be running on port number 8080. So we need to make sure that 8080 port is available for outside, right? So let's do that step. That in EC2 specifically, we can do that by going to the security section. Here in the security sections, we have something called security groups, right? So we can go to that particular security group, and here you can just verify the inbound rules. Inbound rules, you can see that the only port number 22 is exposed, but we know we want port number 8080 also to be exposed. So we just go on edit inbound rules. We add a new rule. We add a rule to expose the port number 8080. Okay. And for now, simplicity, you can actually select anywhere, or you can select my IP also. EC2 AWS has made our work pretty much easy. We need not. It does all the internal exposure, what ports need to be exported, internal commands. It takes care of it. All it provides is a simple UI, simple UI where you just need to mention the port number. So basically, you need to remember the concept, saying that uh, what are the steps to actually expose the port 8080. And for AWS, all you need to do is to add an endpoint rule with port 8080. Things may be different for different other services. For a real-time production machines, you might need to execute few terminal commands to expose that particular port, uh, which may be operating system specific. For Ubuntu machine, it may be different. For CentOS machine, it may be different. So you need to come across those specific commands. But you have to remember the concept, expose that particular, how to remember the concept to expose port number 8080. Finally, at the end of the day, your goal is to expose the port 8080. That's what you're doing now. So I am exposing the port 8080, and I'm just saying the rule. This helps me to, this particular security group has been changed now. This which helps me to expose port 080 and SSH port number 22, right? And this is already tied up with my CentOS machine. So my instance, EC2 instance is ready to actually listen in port number 8080. So that's what I did. Now I am already logged into my AC2 instance. Where am I now? I can just PWD. I can verify that I am inside my AWS machine. CentOS uh, 172. This is the public IP address, I suppose. So here you can just verify it. Like no. So this is the private IP address. 172 dot is the private IP address, and public IP address is 13.2.3. Either you can use this one, or you can do this one. Internally, when you talk within AWS, you can use this particular private IP, but when you actually connect from outside, you can use this IP. Well, so now I am inside the machine. Now we have to install Jenkins. So like I figured out that AWS, this particular AWS instance that I have created, EC2 that I created with CentOS version 8 doesn't have its repository properly configured. So to configure that repository, you can just try to follow these particular steps of installing, and you'll find that you are facing problem with in few steps, right? That we can actually verify. Um, so there is some update command I missed out. All right. So update command should have been there here. Anyway, so let's try to install. So this particular instruction says that to install Java 1.8. Java 1.8 is pretty old. So I would actually recommend to install Java 1.11. 11, Java 11, minimum of Java 11 is recommended nowadays. No, nowadays, whenever you actually develop applications, people are no longer using Java 1.8 because Java latest versions has few more features, so people recommend higher versions. So I would also actually try to install at least Java 11. So I'll go with installing Java 11. I have that in my notes. I'll just go and install. So when I try to install Java 11, this is what I am doing. So CentOS 8 has a specific problem. You can just search for this in the Google, and you will find that the fix for this is to set the appropriate repositories in the CentOS 8. So that I have already find it out. So all I need to do is to run those repositories to set commands. So executing these set commands helps me to actually perform the yum properly. So I run these two SED commands. So it is specific to CentOS. It may not happen for other machines. Whether if you are doing Ubuntu, you may not face the same problem. It is only specific to the CentOS 8 that I have actually installed. So So you need not worry if you are actually creating an instance on maybe like other machines, Linux based, Ubuntu based machines, Debian, right? Yeah. So I think we can do the yum update also. Yum update. I think we need to have yum update instructions. I think there is some other report or repository to do a yum update. So let me try to do yum update. Okay, so it will take a little bit of time. So I'm making sure that I have the latest packages installed in my CentOS machine. So M update is similar to apt update, what we see apt update in Ubuntu machines. Here I'm using M update. So it will take some time to update to latest version. Okay, so this is Cloud Jenkins. So let's go with that. So after installing yum update, I will install Java 1.11. So let's wait for this yum update to complete. So after installing Java 1.8, we'll make sure that path are appropriately set, and then we will install Jenkins. So to install Jenkins, we need to at the end, this is the command which actually helps in installing Jenkins. It is simple command yum install Jenkins. So that will actually install Jenkins in our machine. Okay.
Anil, I have one question.
Okay.
So before installing Jenkins, do we need to install Java as well, JDK?
Yes, that's what. Yeah, Jenkins requires Java, and so in this they have actually recommended. They have given instruction to install Java 1.8. I would actually prefer to install Java 1.11. I have verified that 1.11 works well with Jenkins installation. So
Okay, so if I have a Windows 11, so can it will support for Windows 11 as well?
in Windows Android, yeah, it should actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are using Windows, we can, I think Windows binaries, open JDK Windows binaries, we can just download for 1.11 and install it. Then that should be fine. So if you are running on your Windows machine, right? In your Windows machine only. So I have a question, like whether you are trying to install in your machine or you are trying to install in your company for your company purpose.
In my past personal laptop.
Okay, so then why don't you prefer to install in Docker so that you keep your machine clean? So it not create any traces. Like if you don't want Jenkins, you can just remove the Docker and everything should be fine.
Okay.
So you remember we actually installed Docker in the previous session. So basically, by doing it in a Docker way, right? Your system, your machine will be free. Like um, as you go on installing more and more software into your Windows machine, your Windows operating system will become heavy and slow. It will become very, very slow, right? So that is a problem. And Jenkins is a bit heavy. It is a bit heavy, right? So if you install in your Windows machine, your Windows machine, suppose if you don't want to have that, then you have to track what softwares you have installed. You have to uninstall Jenkins. You have to uninstall Java 1.8, and all those things, steps you have to follow, right? Instead of that, you can just run a Docker instance for learning Jenkins, and whenever you don't want that Jenkins instance, you can just stop the Docker. So if you remember in the last session, we have used Docker Hub. Docker Hub, we went to Docker Hub, hub.docker.com. Here we are searched for Jenkins instance like this, Jenkins. And we got the Docker official image here, this one, and we run this particular pull command, Jenkins/Jenkins/LTS. This is what we have run in the previous session. So what happens is like this particular image, Jenkins LTS, it is like small machine which you are downloading, right? Docker. So all you need to do is like you just need to copy this particular thing and go to the terminal. In your case, in your command prompt, you have to go to your command prompt or PowerShell prompt, and you can just run docker run and this one Jenkins with port exposed -p 8080 8080. So if you run this right, it will download a particular Docker container which already has Jenkins running. Everything is running. All you need to do is open the website localhost 8080. So that way your Windows machine will be pretty much clean. You can try it. Okay.
Okay, Anil.
But if you want to learn by installing the normal way, you can do it. You are always free to do that, no problem. But only thing I was concerned about is like your machine will become heavy. Suppose tomorrow you want to install JDK latest version, like 1.18 version, but you have already installed 11, so you have to uninstall 11 again. That's the problem. But if you do it this way, right, your machine will be independent of what software you have installed as a part of Jenkins. Okay, so I will install Jenkins Java 11 now. I hope that update is completed. No, update is not yet completed. Let the update complete. Let's wait for the update to complete. So after this update is complete, we will install Java 11. So I'm installing Java 11 OpenJDK version. I will use the same yum command to install. Okay, so when this is happening, let's discuss what are we going to do after this, right? So our primary purpose is to install Jenkins. After installing Jenkins, we'll configure the Jenkins. We'll create a specific admin user who will be able to log into the Jenkins, and after that, we will learn about different authorizations that we can do. RBAC space mechanism, how to implement, how to give test roles to testers, developer roles to developers. We will look into that. So we'll actually learn about practically we learn about what are the different plugins that are available in Jenkins also. Okay, so our yum install is done. Now we'll install JDK. So this command will install JDK. I hope I will not. Okay, I got the same error again. I'll run the cd command. So I'm installing JDK now. Okay, so this will install Java 11. So Java 11 has started. So nowadays Java is JDK for any Java specific application. We just definitely need to install JDK. but I would recommend to install the latest Java JDK version as much as possible. And if it is like you are installing older version of JDK, let's not disturb our machines rather than try to install that in a separate virtual environment or virtual machines, which you can actually delete it at any point of time, right? Okay, so our JDK installation is done. So we have to follow these steps, but I have verified that things are working good even without these steps, without exporting the path also. Our installation is Jenkins installation is going through well. It is going well itself. So I will not execute these commands which are there in the instructions. I'll just skip them and I will just go to our my basic Jenkins installation. So I will go to elevate my privileges. I will log in as root user. Sudo will help me to actually um, log in as root to in my terminal. And essentially after that, I have to basically install Jenkins specific softwares. So these softwares are pretty straightforward. So wget is the minimum tool which is used to uh, download softwares. So wget I'm going to, because by default wget is not installed, I'm installing wget as well. And I'm using wget to actually source the Jenkins repo. This will actually help me in downloading the Jenkins software. So this is what I'm doing in CentOS for CentOS operating systems. If you want to install, follow the steps for Windows, so we can go to Jenkins official website. This is the Jenkins official website, Jenkins.io. You can just go to official website and you can follow the specific instructions for Windows. So you can just go for Windows operating system here, click on this Windows specific steps of installing Jenkins, and you can just follow these steps and we are good to go with installation of Jenkins. Okay. So I'm doing it only for CentOS machines now. So once the installation is done, the process of handling, creating jobs in Jenkins, building Jenkins pipelines are same. So I have installed Jenkins now. So after Jenkins installed in my CentOS machine, I have to start the Jenkins. To start the Jenkins, Jenkins actually runs as a system D service. So I have to just start the Jenkins, like systemctl uh, start the Jenkins is the command that I have to do to start the Jenkins. So that I will do it by going here, and so this will actually start the Jenkins. So Jenkins, once it started, it actually starts with port number 8080. So all you need to do is like go to your machine in your EC2 instance. You can actually go to your public IP directly, this public IP, and type this port number 8080, and you should be able to access the Jenkins. So before that, you can just verify whether your Jenkins is started or not. So still this is stuck, right? That means Jenkins is taking some time to start. So let's wait for the Jenkins service to start. So okay, the Jenkins seems like it got started. We can verify it by typing status. Systemctl status Jenkins is the command that you can use, and you can see that it is green, active, running. So that means the systemctl command is running, active. Okay. Okay. Now you can see that we come here. Our Jenkins dashboard is providing us a getting started page. So it is providing us with a directory path where the initial admin password is there, right? You can go to that particular folder path by typing the VI, and this is the secret that you need to copy to as a part of first time process of entering into the machine. So you provide that administrator password and then click continue. So you're good to go. Now you have the Jenkins dashboard ready. So it is actually saying to say install suggested plugins. As I already mentioned, everything is plugins in Jenkins. So it asks when you actually start the Jenkins for the first time, it will actually recommend you to install these plugins. So just click on this particular button, and you should be good to go with installing the basic plugins of Jenkins. So the basic plugins of Jenkins contains these plugins as a default, which are used mostly like pipelines, Git, and Gradle, and what else? I think mail also, mail extension. Shankar, you remember you asked a mail extension, right? So email extensions and SSH build agents. These are by default required. Pipeline stage view. So these are all by default required plugins, which Jenkins recommends we will be using whenever we create, whenever we work on Jenkins. These are generally used. So they are by default recommended to be installed. And we just go ahead and install these plugins. And after installing these plugins, we will install few other plugins on need basis whenever we want, right? So let's wait for some time for this list of all recommended plugins to be installed. It will take some few minutes. Let's wait for some time. Okay, the plugin is taking a little bit time. Let's wait for all the listed plugins to get installed. It will take some few minutes more. Okay, so just to recollect, so we are following the slides. We've covered few of the theories of Jenkins, and now installation of Jenkins we have followed. After that, we will go with role-based access installation of Jenkins, right? So this one, we'll go through this step by step. Okay, so our first basic installation is done. Then it is providing us a UI to enter the first user, right? So I will give the first user as the admin, and I'll give password of my choice. So I'll just enter my name. I'll provide my email ID and save and continue. Okay, so this is the my URL for Jenkins that it is asking. It is just confirming. I am using this URL. Okay, I'm good to go to start Jenkins now. Okay, so this is the basic URL, basic dashboard, the homepage of Jenkins, which looks like. Now in this base homepage, you can see different sections here. So one of the important thing is like manage Jenkins. Manage Jenkins. Here you can actually add more plugins by clicking on the manage plugins. Add more plugins and manage nodes, manage credentials, manage global security. These are the few options that you have. Okay. Now you have this plus item, plus new item, where you can actually create projects. So you can actually create a freestyle project. You can create a pipeline project. So these are the two main kind of projects that you generally do when you actually create a project of Jenkins. Okay. So let's go step by step. So here, here you can go to Jenkins and manage plugins. I remember I have to, if you want to do role-based authorization strategy, this is the plugin that we can use to create a role-based division of projects. Okay, so you can actually install this as a part of create. Suppose you want to create different projects. For the developers, you want to create one project. For the testers, you want to create a different project. And developers should not be able to see the testers project. Testers should not be able to see the developer projects. So how do you achieve it using, you can take the help of this particular plugin. You just need to install this particular plugin. After you install this plugin, it will provide with all the functionalities which are essentially required to perform role-based authentic authorizations. Okay, so this is what you can do. You can just install this plugin now. So it is trying to install few. Uh, it is trying to install the plugin now. So now for after this is done, you can just restart your Jenkins to make sure that all the plugins that you have installed are reflected they are actually they are active and can be used by us, right? So I have just installed the Jenkins. So you remember, to install the Jenkins, there is a checkbox. All you need to do is go to manage plugins, and if it recommends to install the Jenkins, you just need to click the checkbox. Once you click that particular checkbox, Jenkins server will restart itself. Okay, so let's wait for the. Okay, so installation restart is done. Now you have to log in with the username that you have created, admin. So once you are logged in as admin, suppose in your team you have a group of developers, you have a group of testers, right? So you have to create users. So to do that, you can just go to manage Jenkins and uh, manage Jenkins. And here you can say manage users, and you can create users here. So you have to create users, right? So username, I will say dev user. He's a dev user. I give password for dev. So I will say he is Anil Dev. So I'm creating a dev user. Okay. Let's keep the same email. I'm creating one developer, and I will create one tester. Okay. So I'll create a tester. I will say Anil test. I'll give the same password. So now I have two users other than the admin user. One is the dev, one is the test. Okay, I will create a few projects. One project for dev, one project for test. And dev should be able to see only dev projects, and test should be able to see only test projects. Okay, so that's what I am trying to do. Let me recollect. So um, So I remember I created. I have installed a plugin. I installed plugin for role-based authorization. So I should be able to see few things related to role. Yeah, it is already there. It's already there. So if I go to, so basically I have to go to credentials provider. No, I think I have to go to, I installed the plugin. Mhm. Installed it. Global tool configurations. Somewhere I should be able to see the roles. I should be able to see the roles. Mhm.
Users. Okay.
No, I manage users. I was able to see users. I should be able to see RBAC actually. I should be able to see RBAC roles plugin here somewhere because I installed RBAC. I forgot the place exactly where. So it's already recorded. I can actually check it out here. So here somewhere. Yeah, so these are manage roles, right? So these UI I should be able to see. Manage roles, manage and assign roles. New option, manage roles and so this is what I should be able to see. Manage Jenkins, configure global security. Okay. So the idea is to actually create role-based authorization, right? So configure it, manage global, configure global security. Okay. No, I'm not able to see that, right? Configure role-based security authorization. Install the plugin. Set up role-based authorization. Step. Install the plugin and restart. Configure global security. Role-based strategy. This is what I have to. I should be able to see. Once I am able to see this particular role-based strategy, I should be able to set up the roles. Right. I should be able to see this manage and assign roles. This is a new option. I should be able to see manage role and assignment. And prior to that, what the steps was followed? Um, set up role-based access, manage Jenkins, manage users. Mhm. I installed the plugin, but I was not able to see that roles till now. I think I missed this small thing actually. Manage users. This is what we had done. We just created the user. We created the user. We created the developer, tester. Um, Role-based authorization strategy. Yeah. So this is what the install plugin, manage plugin, and click authorize project, add role-based add authorized project. Then in configure global security, in strategy authorization, I should be able to check role-based strategy. Configure global security. Yeah. And I am not able to see that. Okay. Something is missing. Let me go again. No. Mhm. It is enabled. Installed. It's already installed. Okay. Yeah, I should be able to see under manage Jenkins configure global security in authorization section. Okay. Authorization section. Okay. Okay. So this is the new UI has little bit changed actually. So I will select a low role-based strategy. I think this should work. The UI has changed, I suppose. With the latest Jenkins, the UI might have changed. Okay. Yeah. So that's what has happened. The UI has changed a bit. After I have to go to configure global security. This is one of the way of doing role-based strategy. This is the most used way of doing. So before there was multiple checkbox. Now it is like click on this particular authorization combo box, and you click on this role-based strategy. And once you do this right, once you save this configuration, here you should be seeing a new tab. So new option will come, manage and assign roles. This is what you are going to see, manage and assign roles, right? So manage roles, this is manage roles. Okay, so things are little bit changed, but we can actually try the same thing. So the basic idea is to actually create test role for tester and dev role for dev, right? So so you can actually create new roles here. You can create new roles here. So basically the roles to add, you can say dev role here, dev role, and the pattern also you use the pattern that users needs to follow is you are going to add is item roles. You just add a new role called dev, and for test you create a new role called test. Okay, so you are creating two roles. So these are item roles which are specific to one particular role. What they can do is what you are mentioning. So I suppose for dev roles, for all those projects, he can do all the operations. For example, I'll check all the operations like this. Okay. For test also, the if he has access to those test project, he can do all operations. So I will just save these all configurations. Okay. So just we need to try to use some common sense and try to learn on our own. So it's pretty pretty intuitive. So our basic idea we need to uh, add is like so we want to create developer roles and tester roles. only developers should be able to see developer projects only, and in those developer projects he should be able to do all the things, uh, like create, delete, update, and all those things. All of those things he can do for developer projects only. For testers, he can do only tester specific. For the tester specific projects, he can do all the operations. So that's what I have mentioned here. And I will create a role which is global. I will create this is global roles. So this is project specific roles. You can see item roles. This is specific to one particular project only. And this is global role, which is specific, which is global to the global level. So I'll create another role here. In our video also, we have mentioned, we have created a role called employee. I'm just going to create that particular employee and employee role. So I will just say that employee has access to, he has minimum access, read access to all the projects. He has minimum access to projects and credentials to, let's keep it that way. Let's see how it goes. Okay. Now we will store these two rows, save it. Okay. So let's see whether it has get reflected or not. Sometimes apply save works. Now, so this is all about creating roles, right? So I have created one employee role. I have created two dev roles, project specific, and one global role, right? And I will go to user. Maybe I have to go to user now. So let's go to user, manage Jenkins and manage users, and go to developers, maybe developer, this one, configure, Anil Dev, and I have to give him some specific tag. So I have to give him a tag of here. I think I have to give him a tag of dev. So he is having a dev view. Okay, no, not here. Somewhere else. We have to give him a. We have to give Anil Dev a dev tag, and we have to give. We have to give. Okay, so like we have to go to manage Jenkins, and there, from there we have to go to manage assign roles, like assign roles maybe, like global roles. Anil Bhat is an employee, is also an employee. Let's say Anil Bhat is also an employee. And in item roles, we can say that Anil belongs to Anil, but so I'll add users here. So I'll add another user. So username I know, right? Anil Dev. So I'll search for Anil Dev. Groups to add. No, it couldn't identify Anil Dev. So there is no such user called Anil Dev. So probably the name is capital Anil Dev. Anil Dev. No, Anil Dev is not there. Maybe, okay, so the user name is Dev only. Okay, yeah. So username, I have created user as Dev, right? The name is Dev. Uh, the name, first name, last name is Anil Dev, but the username is Dev, right? So I have added Anil Dev, and I have added test user also with username test. So I will add test, Anil test. So I have created Anil Dev, and I have added these two users. I am giving them employee roles. They are employees of the projects. So I am giving them employee roles. Okay. So now let me test by seeing whether I'm able to log in as a dev or not. So I have created user. I should be able to log into the Jenkins, right? So I log out of admin now, and I will try to log in with dev and dev password. Okay, so I am able to log in, but he has no specific permissions. He has no read permissions. So I have to give him read permissions. I will log in back as admin. So I should be able to give him read permissions, right? So the UI has little bit changed. So I am trying to show you like how can we add different permissions. So I have to go to Okay. Okay. Overall read permissions is there. Okay. Now let's go back. If I see an option, there is an option I remember in the slide like matrix based edition somewhere. Matrix is role based strategy. Here I should be able to, in manage roles, I should be able to see overall employee should be having read permissions. Employee should have read for overall permissions. He should be able to see that. So that's what I am trying to do. Let me come from here. Now go to that particular new manage and assign roles, manage roles. Here employee. Employee has administrative permissions and read permissions as well. Employee has this one and dev has these roles. Okay. Now these are the roles I have. And I have assigned these roles to, okay, I assigned the roles. I have assigned global roles. Okay. I think I assigned role before also, but it didn't work. Maybe like that. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Whatever I assigned, it went away somehow. So let me add again. So go to add dev. Add. I will add test. I will add test. I am making them employees. So they are employees now. And I think I didn't save that. So item roles, I will add dev here also. I will add test also. I'll add test. Now dev will be provided dev roles, test will be provided test roles. Probably I didn't save this. I'll click apply now. Okay, save now, save. I saved it. Now I try to log out and I will try to log in as dev now. Let's see what happens. Okay. Yep. So I successfully logged in as dev now. I have successfully logged in as dev. I am able to see the dashboard. Okay. Now suppose I will log out. I'll try to log in as test. I'll try to log in as test and log in. Yeah. So I am able to see. I am able to log in as test. Probably I can just play. I think I gave him dev and test as administrator also. I need to correct that. I think so. So go to manage assign roles, assign roles here. So, okay, so he's not admin, he's only employee. So Anil Dev and Anil Tests, these two users are only employees, they are not admins. Okay, now I'll create a new project. So in Jenkins, you can create projects, right? So for now, let's try to create a project here. Let me create a developer project. So let me say it like developer project or like dev project. I am going to create a dev project which should be visible only to developer. So I'm clicking OK here. So developer project, I have created developer project. There should be some tag for the project somewhere. Okay, some tag should be there. Okay, so back to dashboard. I have created a dev project, right? Okay. So, and the one project I'll create, sorry, I'll create a new item with name test. I'm creating this test project now. So basic idea is to actually make sure that developer should be able to see only developer projects and tester should be able to see only test projects. So go back to dashboard. Now, as an admin, you are able to see two projects, right? Dev projects and test projects, right? Now let's go to the manage Jenkins and go to manage assign roles. Here, you should be able to see what projects is what is our concern. Okay, so let's log out now. I think everything should be working fine by just doing these changes. Log out. Now I will log in as dev. No. So both dev and I'm as a dev, I'm able to see dev and test, but basic I'm missing something. I should be able to assign a tag somewhere. Okay. So here in the project creation, I will say that only dev project should be able to be visible by devs only, right? Um, so manage roles. I think here I'm missing something. Here dev, I have added. Oh, okay, pattern. I missed the pattern, I suppose. Did I? Let me see if I missed the pattern. Pattern, did I give the pattern? Let me give the pattern. Dev. And the pattern is also dev. Okay. And I'll add this. And dev should be able to see, do everything. So pattern, I have given dev as a dev pattern. No pattern items found. Okay. So dev, I should be able to see dev projects. And I have the project with name dev. Okay, I'm missing something. Here, assign roles. So basically when I log in as dev, my primary goal is to able to see only dev projects, not the test project. I should not be able to see the test projects. Okay. Now how to delete this project? And just delete this project. Let me again create the project. That's it, nothing else. Okay, I think I missed something. It is there in the steps basically. I should be able to see the projects. Okay, I think I missed star pattern. Test dot star. Okay. Sometimes it is hard to remember the syntax. So I think it will work now for sure. So let me go and go to again. Let me go again and go to manage Jenkins. Here I missed to put that star. I had to put star. Jenkins follows some rules, right? So here manage Jenkins. Here I will remove these roles. Again, I'll create a dev role. And here I think I have to. I think it gives help here also, no? This means like a pattern is used. So let me put. So we have to follow some regular expression. So let's see that. Let's see dev dot star works. So I am giving a pattern dev dot star. Dev dot star. Okay. Okay, so that is a matching item. Dev project is matching with dev dot star. So similarly, I'll add test. Test with all, it should match with all projects with the pattern test dot star. So test dot star. If I type test dot star, it will match those all projects having name test, having name test and something else, right? Test dot star is a regular expression I have to give in. So this time it should work for sure, I think so, right? Yeah, I'll apply. save, and make sure that developer has dev role and test has test role. Yeah, both they have it. Now let's see if it works. So I just make sure that I apply and I now log out, and I'll log in as developer now. Dev. Okay. Oh, shall I restart?
I think both have assigned the same role.
Oh, okay. Let me check. I missed it. Both are assigned the same role.
I think so.
Mhm. So they are
Okay,
employees.
they are employees. Yeah.
They are employees, and
Different
they are belonging to dev and test.
roles.
So yeah. So they are belonging to dev and test role. And what is the dev? Dev dot star. According to this slide, according to this slide, uh, it is mentioned that I have to put test dot star only, right? Let me expand it to make sure that I am seeing what I am supposed to see. How to expand it? Okay. So this is the way you generally debug and create a project, right? You learn on do basis, right? So I think it's a good thing to learn. So where is the setup in project roles? So definitely role-based strategy. You go here and okay, item roles, user groups, dev and test item roles. Okay, so these are user they have assigned and when creating the roles, they have created using the pattern test dot star only. Yeah, and I'm using role-based strategy, markup plain text. Yeah, everything seems perfect. It should be working ideally. I think because I played with it too much, it is not able to understand what I'm supposed to. What I'm expecting. So it should actually ideally work. So can I edit it? Can I edit it? Is what I'm testing. Shall I? I think I should remove these users and again apply and save and make sure that I have the roles here. Dev star tests are, and it is clearly mentioned that matching item is dev test project. It is able to find out that dev project is supposed to be dev project and test. If I click on this, it is able to say that the matching item is test project for sure. Okay, so ideally it should work because it understands that. So now again, let me go back to manage and assign roles, and now explicitly assign again. I think now it should work. User to add. I'll add now. Item rows. Add. Okay. Item role add and I add it and test. I add the test. Now dev is supposed to have dev pattern and test is supposed to have test pattern and I say apply. Yeah, now it should work. It is supposed to work. Oh, I am logged in as Anil Dev and I'm doing all these things. So that may be the problem, right? Okay. We
Yeah.
have
And
to.
then what does anonymous does here? Like, do we need to have this user?
So it's defaultly provided. I think we can just remove it for security purpose. By default, it gives a default user anonymous who has uh, no. I haven't. It was not there in the previous Jenkins version. Now it defaultly it came up with. We are means like it is. It may be like public for all projects publicly available, which doesn't need any authentication. Without authentication.
Okay.
Okay. Now. So let me do something. I think I have to delete and I have to do from scratch because I did everything using logging using tests, right? So let me try to delete. Let me delete these projects now. Delete. So basic idea is to actually enable the low role-based authentication. This is what we do using Jenkins. So we just need to make it working. Let me do the final check of how to do that. I am deleting everything now. Okay, so I will delete the users also. Just go to the users, manage Jenkins, go to users again. Manage and assign roles, manage assign roles. I will reassign them. I will remove them, everything. As a test, I'm doing everything. So I will log out and I log in as admin. Now as an admin, I'm going and I'm managing Jenkins. I'm going to manage and assign roles, and now I will do everything from scratch. Probably I will delete the projects now. I'll delete the projects. Projects rather than, okay, I deleted the projects. Now I deleted the projects. Now I go to I manage assign role. I make sure that I have the roles. So these roles are perfect. No matching roles are found. It says that because I deleted the projects, no matching roles are found. And okay, so this is the problem, right? So I made the employee as administrator. So he is not supposed to be administrator. So because of that, even though I made role-based assignments, he is able to see all projects because he is not only reader, he is also a administrator. So I think this is the problem. I should not make employee as an administrator. Okay, I think I fixed the problem. Now just confirm employee is only an employee, he's not an administrator. And item roles are dev star, which has access to that specific project only, all access to that specific project. So dev, all projects starting with the dev and all projects starting with test have specific roles. Okay, now I think this is what is supposed to be as working. So employee is only administrator. Now I save it. Now I have assigned roles. Before that, let me create items now. Let me create items. Let me say dev project. Now it should work now, I suppose, right? Dev project and apply save. And I create another project now. Go to new item and add create a test project. And it's a freestyle project and add it now. So apply save. So I have created two freestyle projects. So one is dev and one is test. Now go to manage Jenkins again. Hope this time it should work because I think I fixed the problem. Assign roles here. Here you have to make sure. Oh, it's already there. Let me remove that. Apply, save, and again now assign roles. Before that, let me just confirm the roles again. So here manage roles are supposed to be employee supposed to have only read access and devs are supposed to have this only. It should work. Now I will explicitly go and assign roles. In the assign roles, I make sure that Anil Dev has employee, Anil Test is an employee. Okay. And I created the dev projects role. Okay. Now let me log out and see what happens. Log out. Log out. Log in as dev. Okay. Well, it works now. So you are not able to see any projects. I created projects, but I am not able to see when I log in as dev. When I log in as administrator, he is basically administrator. He should be able to see all the projects. So these two projects, dev projects, test projects, I logged in as administrator. I'm able to see now. And I will assign dev projects only to dev and assign roles. Go to assign roles and assign dev projects only to dev. Like this item roles, add user, add this user, and test user also you add it, add test user, assign dev role to dev, Anil dev, test role to Anil test, and try to click apply and save. Okay, now I think ideally now I will log in as dev, developer, dev, Vinay, sorry, password. So when I log in as dev, I am able to see only dev projects, only one dev project I am able to see. I will log out. I will log in as test, TEST, and password. And I will log in as test. I am able to see only test projects, right? So this is how I am able to successfully divide projects based on role. I am able to access test projects only for testers, dev projects only for testers, only for developers. So basically, in real-time environment, you will not be provided with admin access when you become an employee of big companies which are using Jenkins. If you are working as a developer role, you will be able to see only those projects which are assigned to you. You will not be shown any other projects, right? So that's how this is how they configure things, right? So if you see only those projects that doesn't mean that these are the only projects that you are seeing. There will be many other projects which will be invisible to you, right? So as testers, this is an example of how a tester can see only tester projects and developer can see only developer projects. Okay, finally I was able to successfully do it.
Anil, one question
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So developer can able to see the developer project.
Mm,
Tester can able to see the tester project, correct?
mm, mm.
So in that case, so when developer completed his modules or whatever it is, on development, so how the tester can able to whatever the changes or whatever the development has done by the developer, how the tester will uh, uh, can able to access those project whatever he has done. In this
Okay,
case,
okay. So
in this
yeah, got it.
platform,
So
yeah.
this project is specific to only Jenkins. So they are Jenkins projects which are supposed to run your own scripts, like tester specific scripts, developer specific scripts. But the actual code, what you actually wrote, what the developer writes, they will not write in the Jenkins dashboard. They will actually write in another system. They will store in their machine. They will do coding in their
No, no,
machine.
that is correct. That is correct.
Hmm.
Separate IDE will be there. They will develop in that IDE and they will integrate in the Jenkins, correct?
No, 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 they will integrate in GitHub.
GitHub.
So
Okay.
they,
So
yeah,
through GitHub, they will commit the code. Once
yes.
they commit the code, the tester will can able to view that code.
Can able to write the scripts to test that code. So so
Okay.
this is only to perform the continuous integration testing, continuous deployment, continuous delivery kind of scripts they will write. So, but the actual code, basically, if you are running if you are doing building a software of let's say like hotel management system software, right? So that hotel management system software, which may be written in Python or Go language or Java language, it will be there in github.com. So they will just deploy their code in GitHub. Like for example, I will go to a simple Python application. So for like example, in this case, I'll go to my own repository. I am a developer or a tester. I will be having access to the GitHub repository. So for example,
That is
Jenkins.
okay. But how it
Hmm.
is related to this Jenkins? I
Yes,
just
yes.
want to.
Yes, yes, that's what I am trying to explain. So your entire code is here. This is your GitHub code. Let's make it a bit better example. Okay, okay. So this is what the code we have written. We are working on that particular idea of our own. We are building software of our own, and our target is to actually make continuous integration and continuous delivery. So basically, you are taking help of Jenkins to do the continuous integration and continuous delivery. And in the so tester will be looking it in a different way. Tester wants to test the code. He wants to test this particular code. This code, what you have written in GitHub.com, the developer has written. He wants to test this code. So to test this code, he will go to Jenkins. He will just go to Jenkins and he will create a project of his own, like test project. I want to test this particular GitHub repo, this one. And he doesn't want the developer to see his Jenkins code. This was what he has written. Tester has created his own project and he will actually go and he will configure this. He created test project and he can configure this project saying that I am going to test this repo, this Python web application repo, pipeline repo. So this project I am going to test in this project. So for this particular thing, what I need to do, I have to integrate this particular project with my GitHub repo, this repo. So this repo is a GitHub repo. So I will say that, okay, this I'll get the code from GitHub. From here, GitHub, this is the URL. What is the URL? I'll just copy this particular URL, HTTPS here, like this, and go here and I'll type the URL here like this. Okay. Now I enter the GitHub. I should be able to enter the credentials. I will give the credentials. I'll just add the credentials, which is which I'll do. I can do it like right now also. So go and add Jenkins specific credentials. Here I will say that I want to enter it as a secret file, private key. I will give the private key. So my private key, I will enter the credentials directly. There should be some option called direct. Yeah, system Jenkins, not only system secret file, secret username, uh, secret text. Yeah, secret text, secret text. No, no. User SSH username is private key, and here I can actually enter the text directly. Um, enter directly. Here I will actually give the credentials. The credentials are belonging to the Jenkins user. I'll explain you step by step now. So, I'm trying to integrate. I am trying to integrate the repo. So, um, yep. So just go here, add credentials and the username with private key. And I need to give the private key. I can enter the private key. For before that, I have to enter the. So I'll explain this step by step. I have to create the private key. So to create the private key, I have to follow some steps. I have to do SSH keygen here. In my local machine, I have to do the SSH keygen. I have to generate the private key. And after entering the private key, I should be able to access the GitHub repo, which is basically github.com. And here I will perform my own builds. So in this build, I can actually add my old build, execute shell. So here I can write scripts to actually test the code. So that's why that's how I can write my own test project. So which will pull all GitHub repository and test it. So I will explain you now only this step by step. I'll explain you. So I can do the step now. I think I have already created the private key. I can just verify and.
So is it like we would be having multiple branches in GitHub, like dev, then QA, then UAT, and prod, and corresponding branches we will integrate with different projects for dev, test, and other purposes. And then, yeah.
No. We have to general practice is that we can do for different branches, but we generally don't want different branches for, though we can do testing on different branches. Ideally, we have to test only for the main branch. Generally in practice, main branch is the important branch, right? So definitely whenever code get pushed into the main branch, we need to test that particular branch, right? We need to write CI/CD pipeline for that particular branch, right? So we have to test that branch. That branch mentioning which branch we need to test, all things we can actually mention it here only. Like, so this is the branch that you are going to mention. So in this, you need to make sure that this branch is available. So ideally, whatever branch you give here, right? So Jenkins doesn't care. Whatever branch you want to test, you have to mention it here in the branch specification. So here, that particular branch should be there. Suppose so this particular thing has master branch for sure, so you can just assign master branch for now. But in other branches, there may be no master branch, there may be main branch only. So you can actually go with the main branch.
Okay. The question here is, suppose we have a master branch and developer is pulling the code from like committing something in master branch, and at the same time QA is testing the code, and that it will see the commit and it will pull the same in test environment too, right?
Yeah. So as long as you enable this particular project to run on a particular GitHub repo, so suppose there are two projects running in Jenkins, right? So in this case, you have dev project, dev's project. Suppose dev has configured his particular project and attached his project with a GitHub repo and test also attached the same branch with the GitHub repo, both will run parallelly. So whenever any push happens in the GitHub repo, then both the projects build will automatically happen based upon the configurations that you are going to do. So as I have mentioned, um, so here you can manually build that particular project after you configure it. You can manually build it, or you can actually configure using different settings. I'll explain you step by steps. But as you have the question now, I will explain you how you can actually configure. You can actually configure using polling mechanism, poll SCM, so which will actually poll for every 1 hour or every 1 minute and so on. Or you can actually enable a GitHub hook. So this is GitHub hook. You can actually configure like a GitHub hook using which you can actually trigger a build whenever a push happens automatically. So this is what you can do. So these two options you can actually enable. I'll show you one running code. As you have already asked me the questions, let me go to that directly. Later, I will explain other topics. Let's now make one particular project, integrate. Let's go with the dev project here and try to integrate with GitHub. So let me choose which is already having the Jenkins enabled, right? So that will actually help me out. I think I'll just go to let me see in the slides. In the slides somewhere, Python Web App, Python Web App Kit. This is the project already there. Mhm. So this one, I forked it. I think I forked this. No, I didn't fork it. Huh? Okay. So I have Jenkins file already there here. So here I have already written a Jenkins script, which will actually essentially start running uh, whenever whenever a push happens. These are the scripts which will actually run. Let me make it working. Okay, so let's do it now. So I will show you demo where I can actually where in real time a user will actually run his uh, Python GitHub repository. He will do some changes in his Python repo, and this uh, this repo will be whenever any push happens to this particular GitHub repo, Jenkins will always already will get triggered and run the build. So I will show you that particular steps. Then you can actually get an idea of how Jenkins projects are related with the GitHub, how they are related. Okay. So let's see. So this particular project is a simple project which is having a simple Jenkins pipeline here. uh, Let me fork this. Probably I can just fork this project to my repo. I have forked it. Okay. Okay. So this is what I have forked for now. Um, so I will go with um, I will go with this project, or maybe like shall I create a freestyle project? Let me go and create a pipeline project. Both are same. Let me create Python projects that will give more idea. So let's go dashboard. I'll do from scratch because already I created freestyle project. I will also give you demo of how I can do a pipeline project. So my pipeline project, let me give a name of saying my pipeline project. Okay. So I just give this name. I create a pipeline. There is no difference between freestyle project and pipeline project. Pipeline project is generally the new way of creating projects where you can actually finely divide the entire Jenkins CI/CD pipeline into different jobs, set of pipelines. So pipeline is a set of jobs, and each jobs will have set of instructions. So here, as you can see in the repo, you actually create a Jenkins file, this particular Jenkins file. So this Jenkins file will be divided into multiple. This is a pipeline kind of project, which is mentioned using this pipeline. And you have different stages which will be run whenever a GitHub changes happen. So these are the different stages: the build stage, test stage. You are writing your own Jenkins scripts inside this Jenkins file. Okay. So now Now, as I have mentioned, so just you just need to create a pipeline project, new item, my pipeline project. It's a pipeline type of project. Go to this particular pipeline project, click OK. Okay. Now you clicked the pipeline project. Now let's say I want to trigger a build. Uh, so it's basically GitHub project, right? So my GitHub project. So I will give the project URL. What's the project URL? Project URL is, go to the code, go to HTTPS here. This is the project URL, right? Um, okay, so before that, I need to install few softwares also. Let me make sure that I have few softwares available. I need to make sure that the softwares are there. So it's not a stray. We need to make sure that few plugins are already there. Um, so for now, I'll just save this project for now. I just save this project. Just make sure that I have all the softwares installed. So to integrate with GitHub, right? It's not only that basic plugins are already there, but other than that, few other plugins should also be there. Few plugins should also be there. Like for example, go to manage plugins. Make sure that in the installed plugins, GitHub plugin is there. GitHub plugin is there. Git plugin integrates with Jenkins. GitHub basically integrates GitHub plugins. Okay. So installed, it's already there. Mm. And I have to install Git also. So I have to install Git. So let me go ahead and install Git. I think the command to install the Git is to go there and install Git. Uh, go to this machine and I need to install Git, right? To install Git, sudo, no need of sudo, yum install Git. I think this is the command to install Git. And suppose I should be able to install Git now. Okay, so I have to install Git to integrate with Git, right? So I'm installing Git. Git is getting installed. So I'll explain you. Just be patient. Follow the steps. What I'm doing to make the entire flow visible. We need to install few softwares. It is already there as a part of instructions. So you can just follow the instruction letter also. As I know the steps already, I'm trying to do that. So as you mentioned that how the Git push will be integrated with Jenkins, I am just jumping to that place. Now I'm trying to do that. So GitHub installation is going on. It will take some time for the installations to complete. Let it happen. And after the GitHub is installation, ideally what you should be able to do that you can actually integrate your project GitHub project into your Jenkins project. So after the installation is done, here in the Jenkins manage Jenkins, when you go to your project, you should be able to attach your GitHub repo successfully. Okay. So GitHub was successful. GitHub was successful. Now sign in. Okay. I think if you want to have, there is a private repo. Let's go with public repo only. For public repo, one way. I'll go with one way. There are many ways. Let me go with one way. So here you can go configure. I already have a personal access token. Go to your GitHub repo first. Okay. Go to your which repo are you going to clone? Just go to that particular repo. This is Python web app, right? So just remember this app. Before that, generate a personal access token. You can go and access personal access token by going into settings. In the settings, this is one way. There are many ways. I am going to go with one way, which I think which will make things clear to you. So go to personal access token, generate a new token, enter your GitHub credentials. So I will just name it as Jenkins because I'm going to test for Jenkins, right? So here I have to have some specific credentials to be Jenkins enabled. I should have the repo access, and I think I need to have some other access. Email, user email access should be there. These two definitely should be there. Other things are optional. I just for the sake, I just give. No, I don't need all that. This for sure. I think workflow is there. This is not required. Admin publicly repo hook. Repo hook is there. Okay, so for now, just give everything. It is not recommended to do everything. So I remember it's only user email is definitely required, and repo deployment access is required. Other than just for quick demo purpose, I am giving all access. I am giving access. I am generating a token now. This is one way. I am generating a token. I remember this particular token. Okay, remember this token for now. Okay, and copy this particular token here in your GitHub mini pipeline. GitHub mini pipeline. You should be able to enter the GitHub project. Let me remember this token now for now. And in this project URL, you have to give the project URL of the repo that you are going to build. Okay, I have the token already. So go to your repo now, back. The repo is okay. So this repo is there, right? This repo I have already created. I'll try to do this. I'll integrate this, copy this particular repo, go to this pipeline, go to the project URL. Okay, GitHub project, and then build triggers. I will do a poll kind of. I'll go do a poll. Basically, I will try to poll the GitHub repo. So to poll the repo, I have to schedule it for. I will schedule it for 1 minute. This is a regular expression I have to give. We typically schedule it to maybe like for 30 minutes, for 1 hour, so on. I'll schedule it for 1 minute. This is already there. You can actually learn about different syntax of scheduling it. So this one is warning you, saying that do you really mean you want to schedule it for every minute? I say yes, I want to do that. It will actually start polling for every 1 minute. After that, so pipeline script from SCM. I give the SCM from which script you are going to do SCM. So GitHub, I am trying to integrate it with GitHub. So I have to give the repo URL. So this is the repo URL. So I can actually, if it is a private repo, I can actually give the private personal access token also. Now the personal access token I have generated, I am also already remembering that particular personal access token here. So just go with that. Give that personal access token at the rate github.com Python webkit. This is what you have mentioned. Just leave the credentials none. You already gave the credentials here. And I think that should be good to go. This Python web app, this is the master application, master branch that you're going to build. So you're good with this master branch. And this is the script that you are going to run, Jenkins file. So you are mentioning that in the source repo, this is the source repo. There should be a file called Jenkins file, which you are going to run. So your pipeline jobs, pipeline stages are mentioned in this particular file, Jenkins file. Let's see. Now I save it. Okay. Okay. Now it's good to go. Let's test it now. So basically you have mentioned the Jenkins file, right? So what the Jenkins files is doing is, this is the Jenkins file that I have given in the repo. Now this Jenkins file is doing build, then test, and then sing. The basic idea is this, all these scripts will get run. So this is a typical example of how you can actually run your Jenkins file from your Jenkins project in this project that you have created in your my project. Now you can just run the build by saying build now. So on clicking on this build now, it will start triggering the build. And you can just click on the status. Okay, so you can see that few scripts are getting run, but they are failing, but it has picked up. It picked up the script. Let's see the failure, but so you have some scripts in the Jenkins file, right? So those Jenkins file got executed. Basically, those Jenkins files are throwing error because it was not able to enter. So you can just look into the console log. So to see what has actually failed, you can see that you can go to this your particular specific build, and you can see the console output here. So you can see that okay. So GitHub is not installed. I thought GitHub is installed. So let me wait for the terminal to come up. The terminal got hanged. So let me type the git. So git is there. Git is already there. Okay. So this is how you actually create the pipeline. Go to this pipeline. Now let's check the configuration. So you are going to build on master. For every check-in of the master, you are going to build it. That's fine. You are polling it for every 1 minute. That's fine. Build the triggers. You are going to poll it for every 1 minute. That's fine. And your pipeline. This is your pipeline you are mentioning, and it also didn't throw any exceptions. So you are building for a particular branch master, and you have mentioned the script file as Jenkins file. That is also fine and good. So finally, it was able to start the build. So so if you see the stages, right? Stages are build, test, deploy, and release. This is one simple example of how you can actually make a build. So those all stages you can see build. First it checked out. Checked out was successful, and then it started the build, then test, then deploy and release. Okay, so that's what you are doing: build, test, deploy and release, right? So just to make this simpler, what I can do is, like, I will just ignore these scripts now for now. I will make sure that is this working? I'll just echo for now. I'll just echo. Will it work? This one, yeah. Okay. So I just committed this change. So because it is triggered for every 1 minute, it should automatically pick up. So I should automatically pick up within 1 minute. So now only 2 jobs are running. If my configuration is correct, if I'm right, it should actually pick up the job automatically. Let's wait for some time. Yep. So you can see that third job, there is a job number 3, right? See? So as soon as I did the commit, I did some commit, right? So as soon as I did a commit, it automatically picked up that particular commit and it run the build. Okay, so job was successful. So here you can see that the job was done. So you can see the console output. It has executed all stages. So it has started build, started testing, and stopped current running jobs and started release. So these all are instructions which are given in Jenkins file, right? So in your Jenkins file, I just run this particular command. It was successfully running, right? So these commands were failing because of lack of some privilege. We need to look into it. I can look into it, but this gives you a basic idea of how a commit in GitHub actually triggered a build in Jenkins, right? So I can actually again show you to confirm how it was running, how it is running. Now, remember, like, good status of this pipeline. So you remember there are only three jobs run up to now. I will do another commit. Okay. I will do one another sample commit. I am ignoring all these scripts for now to just show you the basic steps, how it works. Okay. I will do another small commit here. Maybe I'll do commit in some other file, maybe requirement.txt. I will edit, I'll remove the Python test for now, and I'll do the commit. Okay. So I am updating the requirement.txt. I triggered a build again. Now go back to Jenkins. Here, automatically fourth build will be triggered. Let's wait for it. It is polling for every 1 minute. We have to wait for minimum 1 minute for the trigger to pick up. Let's
we
wait
can
for some time.
also start it manually, right?
Yeah, we can start it manually. I have already showed you how to run it manually by clicking on the manual build now thing.
Build now.
Here we can build now also. I just wanted to show the polling 1 minute polling configuration because I configured it to run for every minute. It should actually pick up.
Okay.
So it already I had to just refresh. So you can see that fourth job got triggered, right? This is the job number 4. So job number 4 started and it executed the pipelines of Jenkins, which we have mentioned in Jenkins, and it worked fine. So you can imagine, right? You have written a typical Jenkins project where you have written your own pipeline project, where you have configured it by clicking on the configure. You have written your script. So basically, what you are doing is you are saying that I have a Jenkins script written. That Jenkins script, this script is there in this particular GitHub repo. This GitHub repo, the Jenkins script is there in this repo, and the script path is from this file. This is where I need to run the script. So that's what I am doing now, right? So this is what I am doing. So same thing you can actually do in freestyle project also. This is a freestyle project, dev project. So basically there is no kind of pipeline pipeline configuration here, you just need to go configure. Here you have to again mention the project, GitHub project. So basically this is sample GitHub project. Copy this particular repo, go to here. And in the freestyle project, mention the GitHub project. And then, okay. So GitHub project you have mentioned, you mentioned the source code is from the GitHub repo. You mentioned the GitHub repo. And because it is a public project, I need not give credentials. If it is a public, if it is not a private project, you have to give the credentials. Okay. And you have to mention the master and what do you need to build. What you need to build, you can actually write a script of your own here. So you have given an example of invoking Jenkins.file, right? Jenkins.file. Instead of invoking Jenkins.file, you have given the project repo and build a trigger. You can say that same thing, poll SCM. You can give the same configuration. Let me. Okay. So let me do another configuration. Polling for 1 minute. You have already seen the example of polling for 1 minute, right? Let me give a GitHub hook example. This one, Git hook, which actually we have to mention that whenever a Git push happens, GitHub will actually intimate us, saying that okay, something has happened. GitHub will actually intimate us. So that is what configuration I'm doing now here. It should actually work. It should also work. So basic idea is like we take help of GitHub. So I want GitHub to explicitly say that a push has happened. So for that I need to configure the GitHub with my changes right now. So go to my GitHub here. This is my GitHub. Go to my webhook. So go to the repo. Okay, so this is my GitHub. Go to the settings here. Go to the settings. You have a settings called webhooks here. So this is the webhooks. So you can just add a webhook here. So in this particular webhook, you have to give the URL. So payload URL you have to mention. So which is basically the Jenkins URL that you need to mention. So Jenkins, you have to follow some rules, right? So this is the Jenkins URL that you need to mention. This is the Jenkins URL. Add this as a webhook. So HTTP, this Jenkins URL followed by, I think the extension is GitHub dash hook slash. I think this is what the URL you need to add. Let me check. GitHub webhook. Just search for GitHub webhook. Jenkins. Okay. Yeah. So you have to append this GitHub slash webhook at the end of the URL. Okay. So I think GitHub slash webhook, right? Okay. That's it, right? GitHub dash webhook. Yep. So what you're saying that whenever a push happens, I am saying requesting GitHub to actually send a hook to my Jenkins. So my Jenkins is listening in this particular URL. 113.233.97.25. This is the URL my Jenkins is listening to, and this should be application.json. Application.json. Yeah. So it should be applications.json. This is the payload URL where the information hook about a particular push has happened should be gone through, and you can actually configure to just trigger the event whenever a push happens by clicking on this radius button, or you can have multiple configuration also. So you not only for every pushers you want to, for some other requests also, for pull request you want to have. Generally in practice there is some concept of pull requests also, right? So when you actually pull from the feature branch to the master branch, then also you want to trigger this particular hook event. So you can configure it for different events. So these are the different events you can actually trigger for, and say market is active and add this particular webhook. So you have added a webhook here. So whenever a webhook happens, whenever push happens, now this webhook will get triggered. This webhook will be triggered, and as a part of this webhook, our Jenkins will be informed whenever. Yeah. So this is what the radio button says. Whenever a webhook happens, this particular build should be getting triggered. This build trigger, and the trigger should be as simple as, you can say, execute a simple shell command saying echo hello building. Maybe I have to add some assisted scripts. Like if it is a shell script, I think I have to hash slash pin dash. I think this is what the script looks like. Okay. Does it work? Okay. I think this is how the script, right? Let's test it. Okay. So now I have configured this freestyle project to listen for every GitHub push. So I have configured it for this repo. So I will try to make a check-in in this particular repo and see how it works. So this is where we actually make things running. So just go to, maybe make a small check-in. Go to check-in, and I'll make a small check-in. I'll say, okay. So I am committing it in master branch now. Now let's see if my Jenkins project is picking up. My Jenkins dev project should be able to pick up this changes. So did it pick up? Yeah, so you can see that I have updated my README, and these changes got picked up. And so yeah, I have seen my Jenkins command, which I have written, right? Simple command echo hello building. So this is what I have printed as a part of the dev project configuration. So in the dev project configuration, I have made a configured it to run a simple shell script. So here I have executed a simple shell script uh, to run whenever a GitHub push happens. And I did a push from my GitHub. So I did a push from my GitHub from a repo, Python repo here, and which automatically got triggered, and you can see that build as a part of dev project. Remember, you have configured two projects here. One is this dev project, and you remember there is another project also we have actually configured, right? We have configured our my pipeline project also to trigger the build whenever any changes happens in my Python web app repo. This repo is attached with two Jenkins projects now, right? So you can just verify that here. So in my Python project, you can see that fifth job has also started run as a part of the build. So the new build that you have started, mostly the commit change. See, the commit name is update readme, right? So this project, my plan project also started working, and um, along with that, dev project also started running. So you can actually make multiple projects. Like imagine that this is some other team working on this particular project, and another team working on the dev project. So let me again trigger it so that it is visible to you. So hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I thought I was disconnected.
Yes.
Okay, hi. Okay. So you can see that we can actually run multiple projects as a part of Git projects. So, so let me explain it to you again so that it is clear. The concepts are clear to you. So I have created two projects now, dev projects and my pipeline project. So this dev project I have configured in one way. Let me show the configuration. So dev project already has this dev project. Right? Yeah. So dev project is a freestyle project, and I have configured it to just I don't know why the system is so slow. I have just configured it to run a simple script here. Whenever a GitHub push happens, whenever a GitHub push happens, I will just run this particular shell script. You can actually write your own business logic here, what you need to test, what stages you need to run, everything you can write it here. You have option of running, you can have option of running many things here. So I just build a simple shell script here, which will just echo hello building whenever a GitHub happens. And how I am mentioning it? By saying that run it as a part of GitHub hook. So whenever I click this particular GitHub hook, then I have to configure GitHub saying that you have to send a webhook whenever any push happens. That I actually mentioned it here in Python settings. In settings webhook section, I mentioned the Jenkins URL. This is the Jenkins URL I have mentioned. So whenever any pushes happens, GitHub will actually send a hook to it will actually post a request saying that hello Jenkins, some git commit has happened. Some user has did a GitHub on the master branch. It will just inform that. So once that information is sent to the Jenkins, this particular job this particular job um, dev project job will actually start. This dev project job will start and run the scripts as a part of the scripts here. And it will just in this particular for the demo purpose, I just did a echo building. Parallelly, I have another project. My pipeline project. So it is a pipeline project. There I have configured in such a way that for the same repo, Python web app repo, for the same Python web repo, I have triggered it it is not a GitHub SCM polling. Rather, it is a it is a separate, different kind of trigger configuration. I said that poll GitHub for every 1 minute. For every 1 minute, poll the GitHub and run this particular pipeline scripts, which are mentioned in Jenkins file. So this Jenkins file again is there in the same repo, which I'm mentioning here. So in Python web.git, there should be file with name Jenkins file. And that you can actually see that here with Python web.app, there's a file Jenkins file. So all it will do is it will run this particular pipeline projects. So this is the way, right? This has different stages. For simplicity, I have just shown the stages to echo different messages in different stages. So it's in the build stage, it is echoing start building. So in the test stage, it is echoing start testing, and deploy stage, it is echoing start deploying, stopping any current. These are the messages I am displaying. So parallelly, I have two projects in Jenkins running for the same repo. And whenever any push happens, this will actually get triggered as a part of 1 minute polling, and this project, dev project, will run as a part of webhook polling. So both will get triggered. So you remember this has only one job run up to now, and this project, my time project, has 5 projects up to now, five jobs run up to now. Now I'll do a sample commit. I can do a sample commit here. So I'll just revert to the README text that I have done as a part of commit. Go to this, do a simple commit. For example, I just do a commit. I want to revert to this changes, and I will just commit this. Okay, I should have given a better name. So I have committed with name with commit message update readme.cmd. Now you can go and verify in your pipeline project. So you can see that sixth project already got triggered in my pipeline project. In my project, there are only five jobs run up to now. Now the fifth build job automatically got triggered, and it was successful. And let's go to other pipeline, other freestyle project, dev project. Here there was only one project running. Now two projects got run, and that will actually display the message build Jenkins as a part of the build hello building. So you have seen that different projects can be run on the same GitHub projects, and you can imagine that one project was built by dev team and the project was built by some other team, pipeline team, and they both are working parallelly on the same GitHub project, and they have different objectives. They want to run their different build, and this particular team dev projects want to run different scripts. So you can parallelly run different kind of scripts in Jenkins projects. So I hope I answered your questions, right? Practically. Right, I answered your questions, right? So the question was about like how in real time scenario developers and testers actually have the visibility of build changes. How can they work on the same source code, right? The question was that. The question was about like if you are working on the same source code, how developers and testers can actually do their tasks. How can they get the visibility, right? So both are working on the same GitHub repo. This is the GitHub repo they are actually working on, my Python project, and the changes are happening in this repo, and testers are running or they are building their own project, maybe like my Python projects, and developers are running their own project, their projects, and parallelly both the projects will actually get triggered. Now you know that how you can actually trigger a Jenkins project. How can you trigger Jenkins project? How do you integrate Jenkins project using GitHub, right? So there are different ways of integrating Jenkins project. Okay, so we have seen two ways. We have seen two ways. One is like polling for every 1 minute. One is why like polling every 1 minute here that you have mentioned. This is poll SCM, which you can actually configure for every 1 minute. And this is another option, which is like webhook way of triggering the build. So whenever any push happens, GitHub is already configured in the settings. Webhook is already configured, and that will actually uh, inform that there has been a push happened in the GitHub repo, and automatically a job will get triggered in the Jenkins, and it will get executed. So I think that actually is visible to you. All right. So do let me know if you have more questions. Um, okay. So now we have these two things. We have covered the basic functionalities of how Jenkins runs. We can actually we have run the basic deployment, right? Basic deployment. Now we will see how we can actually deploy our Jenkins project in AWS. So basically AWS, we have seen in using Travis, we have seen how we can actually deploy uh, AWS Elastic Beanstalk uh, from our GitHub repo, right? So similarly, how we can use Jenkins to deploy from our GitHub to Elastic Beanstalk, we will see right now. So that is what we will cover right now. For that, I think we already have one step. So that is clearly mentioned as a part of this third project here. So you can follow these steps to see how the deployment actually happens into AWS Elastic Beanstalk container using Jenkins pipeline. So you just need to have follow the steps and see. I'll try to skip few steps which I already done. So here it actually clearly mentions to how to create users. I already have created one particular user. I can use the same user. Okay. So I have the credentials of that particular user already downloaded in my machine. That user should be there. my new user CSV. So I have already created the credentials. So I will use these credentials to actually trigger a build. Okay. So just follow these instructions. So basic idea is like how to demo, how to take help of Jenkins to do a real-time continuous deployment from whenever a push happens in a GitHub repo to AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So that is what this particular project actually mentions. Okay, so just give me a 2 minutes break. I'll get back. Um, so meanwhile, just if you have your slides open, just go through these particular slides. We will, as time within half an hour, we'll try to deploy it into AWS Beanstalk. We have a lot of things to cover in Jenkins. As time permits, we will go on discussing more and more. For now, I'll just give you a brief introduction of how to deploy a Jenkins into Elastic Beanstalk. This is what I'm going to display. I am going to explain you now. And I think a lot of more things are there to discuss in about Jenkins. Probably we'll continue more about Jenkins in the next session also, and then start with Ansible. Give me 2 minutes break. I'll just come back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so we have we have an idea of deploying our GitHub specific Docker container specific project, which is there in this particular repo, into our AWS Beanstalk, right? So what are the steps to follow? So basically, we have to configure our Jenkins to actually connect with the Elastic Beanstalk, right? So that's the basic idea. So for that, we will actually create a IAM user. I have in the previous session also, I have already shown you how to create an IAM user, how to uh, attach AWS full access and Elastic Beanstalk access. I'm going to use the same credentials. Okay, so once you create the particular user, you need to add those credential details into your Jenkins. You have to provide as environment variables to the Jenkins. So the thing how you do that is like in the credentials management in the global credentials here, you have to mention that by adding the credentials and provide those secret AWS key ID and AWS secret key IDs as a part of Jenkins configuration. So that I'll quickly show you how to do that. So here in the dashboard, you can actually give your credentials as a part of Jenkins by going to manage Jenkins. And there you have to provide your credentials in credentials configure global security. Okay, so let's see that. So you have to go to credentials, dashboard credential systems, right? Just follow you have to follow these steps. So you have to go to manage Jenkins and manage credentials. You have to go to manage credentials. Okay, dashboard, manage Jenkins and manage credentials. Manage credentials and click on the global. You have to add some uh, add credentials here. So you are going to add secret text. So we have different options because you are going to enter access key. So it is of type secret text. So go to secret text and enter the secret text which you already have. So that text you already have as a part of already opened it. No? Yeah, so this is what access key you have. So copy this particular access key. So this is what you have given. And this repo, which repo are you going to work on? You are going to work on WebRide Jenkins Docker AWS Kit, which is there in my repo. So go to that particular repo. This one only, I think so, right? WebRide Jenkins Docker AWS. So WebRide Jenkins Docker AWS EB. So this what is a repo. So I will try to clone. I have cloned it in my uh, local machine. So this is the GitHub repo I already have. Okay. So so here this is a simple repo. So this particular repo is actually using few environment variables. So you are using my AWS access key ID environment variable, right? So you have to use this particular environment variable, add it as an environment variable in your Jenkins credentials. So here you have to copy that AWS key ID, which is basically you got it from here. AWS key ID you got it from here. So copy this value into your Jenkins. Okay. Okay. So you create that particular environment variable. You successfully create one environment variable. Similarly, you have to provide another secret text, which is of type secret AWS access key ID, right? So that one, secret access key, this one. So just copy that secret key, which you get the name as AWS, my AWS secret key one that you are going to use, right? So just use that key. Create. So now you have AWS key configured. So do you need any other configuration? Basically, if you are in these instructions, they have asked me to add more credentials, more and more credentials, which few credentials are not required. Docker Hub is not required. Let's go here. Let's go step by step. So I suppose Docker is not required. As far as I remember, Docker is public, so I don't need those credentials. Only thing is like I need to add is AWS key, AWS secret key, and then Docker is not required. I have seen the code; it is not using Docker credentials at all. Yeah, I don't need that. Let's ignore it. And this token also, now I made it public, so I don't need public access token also. I suppose I don't need public access token also. I have shown you the steps of how to create public access token. This public access token is required only if your repo is private. If it doesn't work, we can actually add public access token later. But for now, I think we are good with not having public access token. Okay, so this is again not required anyway. So just ignore it. I think nothing is required. Only AWS key is sufficient, I suppose. And then we can, as usual, we will just create a AWS Elastic Beanstalk application. We all know we have done it multiple times. We will do the same thing. Okay. So go to Elastic Beanstalk, create application. Do I already have an application? Let me check. Okay, I don't have application. I will create an application. Let me see what name I have given in my Elastic Beanstalk application. Hmm. So I have given the name as Jenkins test here. In my repo, I have given the application name as Jenkins test. So let me create the application name as Jenkins test. Okay. Now I will create a Docker kind of platform branches, Docker running on Linux too, and I will just deploy. Okay. Now it will take some time for the application creation. So it will take some few minutes. Let's wait for a few minutes, and parallelly we'll go through this slide. So we'll create an application. So in this demo, they are saying that give the application name as WebRide. I give a different name because in my repo, I named the application name as Jenkins test. I am using that name. So after the application is created, uh, you can actually go ahead with create a bucket, creating a bucket. So I think the bucket name is also mentioned here somewhere, EV bucket. So here I have a bucket with name CLX Jenkins bucket. In my repo, I have mentioned the bucket name as CLX Jenkins bucket. So I will create, I think I have already done it before, so that bucket name should be there. So go for S3 bucket. In S3, just verify that bucket is there. If the bucket is not there, I will create a new bucket. Search for this. Okay, so the bucket is already there. CLS Jenkins bucket is there. Fine. So I have created an application. I have created a EBS application. I have created a bucket. After bucket, I should make sure that pipelines and GitHub extensions are. I have already verified that before also. I have shown you. I have installed Git in my machine. I have installed. These plugins already are there. We can just verify it in our uh, dashboard, manage Jenkins plugins, manage plugins. Here you should be able to see that in your installed plugins, you should be able to see GitHub plugin. Okay, so wait a minute. So installed in the installed plugins, we have this list. These are all the installed plugins. So I have already have GitHub plugin installed. Okay, now I have to install a few other softwares inside my machine to connect with AWS. So I had to install AWS CLI. So these plugins I have to install. AWS SDK plugins I have to install, and also I have to install AWS CLI. These two things, as usual, you have to go to the plugins, and already Jenkins has AWS plugins integrated with it. So go to the available section and search for AWS. You should be able to see the basic core AWS SDK. So this is AWS SDK. You have to install this, and another one is Cloud Formation. That's what they have mentioned. Cloud Formation plugin you have to install. So go for Cloud Formation plugin. So I think this is the Cloud Formation plugin. Just need to install these two plugins. Okay. So install these two plugins. So let the install happen parallelly in Jenkins, and parallelly here environment will also be getting created for EBS. Both things will happen parallelly. Let this happen. So we are trying to install the SDK, AWS SDK here, and we are trying to install EBS application parallelly. And we can do another thing parallelly also. We can install AWS CLI inside our AWS CentOS machine by logging into that particular machine. So let's log into the machine again. So here we have to install a few softwares. Okay, so you remember we already installed Git. So along with that, we have to install few other softwares. I remember Zip, we have to install Zip, we have to install AWS CLI. Those commands are already there as a part of slideshow. We can just go through that. So in the 32 slide, 33 slide, these are all things we have to do. Okay, so we have to sudo, we have to install AWS CLI, we have to install Zip. These are all things we'll do. Okay, so let's do that now. So log into the machine and install. So what is the command to install? Yum install, right? In CentOS, we have to use yum. So yum AWS CLI is the instruction. So install AWS CLI. So this will actually essentially install AWS CLI inside the CentOS machine. It will take some time. AWS CLI, AWS Zip, AWS CLI and AWS no, AWS CLI and Zip. And before that, we have to enable one. We have to give sudo rights, no password rights to Jenkins user. So that is what we are doing here. We have to, there is a particular file called sudo years. So if you add an entry for a user here, he can actually log in via program. In order to log in via program, which is what we are trying to do here. So we are trying to do the same thing. So we just add this particular line, Jenkins all password all as a part of sudoers. So that's what we have to do. We have to wait for our AWS CLI to complete. After that, we'll do all those things. So let this complete. Let this complete, then we can do other things. So let's see if the environment got created or not. No, environment still is not yet created. Okay, okay, environment got created, fine. So our environment application environment is ready. This task is done. Parallelly, we were doing something else. We were installing AWS CLI here. So we have also, okay, it is also successful. So there is a option checkbox here, restart Jenkins when installation is complete. So just click on it, make sure that your Jenkins gets restarted afterwards. So it will take some time to restart. Because I have created a bare single core EC2 instance, it is a bit slow, I think so. I guess that is the reason why my instance is a bit slow. So I have to wait for some time to my Jenkins dashboard to get restarted. So it will restart Jenkins instance. Parallelly here, yum install is going on. Let's wait for some time. Okay, so these are the steps we need to follow. So once we are done with all the installations, right? So all we need to do is create a new pipeline project. So we have seen the steps of how we created a pipeline project, right? Similarly, we will follow the same steps. We can create a pipeline project. We'll configure the GitHub. We can configure the GitHub, and then we will trigger a GitHub push. So once you configure the pipeline with the GitHub repository, you are good to go. Then you just do a GitHub push. GitHub push, then you should be able to see that uh, your project is getting deployed in the AWS Elastic Beanstalk environment. Right now, our Elastic Beanstalk environment endpoint is having nothing. It is having the basic congratulations, right? So that is what you are seeing right now. But after you do all these configurations, right? You should be able to see that your GitHub specific repository changes should be visible here. Okay, so let's see if we can cover it within 10 minutes. Somehow my system has my AWS system is become very slow. I don't know why it has become so much slow. Let's wait for some more time. So this is done. This is there. Okay, here restart is also not happening. Something went wrong. Or I have to wait for some more time. So this machine has become very slow. Let's wait for a few minutes. Hope that my Jenkins dashboard restarts gracefully. Let's wait for some time. So basically, we are done with all the configuration. So we need to make sure that our AWS CLI installation is done, and then once we install one and the two softwares, the zip software and configure sudo us, we should be good to go with the deployment. So only somehow the machine became slow. Once it is done, we can actually see the runtime demo. Otherwise, you can we can run it next for the next. You can work on your AWS console instances. It will just take another half an hour for you to follow the steps, and it should be done. So let's wait for a few minutes. It should be working. Mm-hmm. Let me stop my Jenkins projects. Let me delete some Jenkins projects. Maybe that is causing problem. Uh, oh no, I can't do. I have restarting the Jenkins, right? Okay. Okay, so let's discuss if you have any questions. I think um, we have a few more minutes, and I think we have to just wait for my Jenkins dashboard to get restart. I am not able to do anything else unless this happens. I can't go forward. So basically what we are trying to do is like we are trying to deploy. So I will explain you the code meanwhile. Okay, so we can see this particular code. So we have a Jenkins file here. So this Jenkins file has few environment variables, which we have set it in our Jenkins project, right? So we have in credentials, like we have went to manage Jenkins and added these credentials, AWS key ID, access ID, and these credentials are used as a part of deploy. So these credentials, you are going to use it here uh, in deploy app.sh. So deploy.sh, what it will do is like it will actually use the credentials, and uh, it will try to upload it to your bucket. The bucket you have already created in AWS. This is the bucket you have created, and it will try to upload it in your bucket. And from that, you are using AWS CLI command elastic beanstalk, where you are saying that copy the upload the bundle from the bucket to elastic beanstalk with the application name and environment. So those application name and environment you already have given it as Jenkins test and Jenkins test environment, which you already created here, right? Jenkins test environment we already created here. So that you are going to mention it. And this particular single command will actually deploy your code in a zipped version by running the docker run AWS JSON command. So docker.aws command is also there in our repo only. Here, docker run AWS JSON command. It is a simple Docker command which actually downloads a GitHub repo. So it downloads a Docker image which is present here, which you can actually, it is a public repo. You can actually see that by going into Docker Hub. So by going into Docker Hub, you can see that repo is available for everyone as public. So go for this Jenkins push push. So you can see this repo. Manoj KM had, which is he's from Cloud Hub. So you can just use the same repo. He has made it public. So that is what the repo you are trying to download. So you are downloading this particular repo and you are uploading this particular repo into AWS Elastic Beanstalk. That's what you are doing. So that is a part of deploy.app.sh, which is called from Jenkins pipeline. From the Jenkins file, you are actually as a part of publish, you are actually calling the scripts, AWS the Jenkins app sh. Okay, so that is what we are actually doing. So I think my machine is my AWS machine is stuck for some weird reason. Um, okay. So probably I have to restart my machine, then things will go fine. I can do that. I can just stop it here.
Yeah, and just one suggestion, or I don't know what others feel. Uh, it's difficult to focus continuously for 3 hours. Can we get a break in between around 9:30 or mid of the session
Yeah,
for
sure.
10 minutes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so next week, maybe like we will have a break at 9:30 and then continue. Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
So basically we have to actually little bit to make our hands dirty also. When you get time, just follow this instruction. These instructions are pretty straightforward. So I know we are having busy life, but this is I think this is a lifetime. We have lifetime access to all these resources. That's a good thing. I think Cloudx provides lifetime access to all these resources. You always have the steps with you here. So if you forget the steps, it's really hard to actually remember each and every step, the name, everything. But if you feel like you forgot something, you always remember the concept and the basic architecture of how the things are working. What is Jenkins file and so on, right? So try to remember those things. So so for reference purpose, once you actually run by your own, you will gain the confidence saying that I know stuff, right? So once you gain the confidence, next time when you refer, you just have to follow these steps again and again. So these are like, you can see that there are, to make one small project to deploy into AWS, you have to follow like 40 plus slides, right? 40 slides. They're not difficult, but we have to just remember the steps. So always keep in mind that Jenkins, how the pipelines are getting created, what is the architecture behind Jenkins pipeline? How you can write a Jenkins pipeline project that which I was able to explain you within this 3 hours. I understand that uh, it may not everything may not go into memory at once, but so for that purpose, what I do is like what I have said in one particular session, I repeat the same thing in the next session also, so that if you actually discuss the same thing again and again, it will I will second time when you actually listen the same thing, it will get into your mind. Okay, so probably next session also I will just try to make this particular project running where things got stuck. That will make that will actually help you understand the concept more clearly. Okay. There are more other things to discuss in Jenkins. In these 3 hours, though we had 3 hours, I was able to cover only 50% of the code. It was good that you actually asked questions, and to answer those questions, uh, that specific question, I was able to give you a runtime demo of how to answer your question, and that itself took 1 hour of time. But there are a few other concepts that I wanted to explain in Jenkins, which I couldn't cover in these 3 hours. Probably I will continue again the Jenkins in the next session, because I feel Travis is a commercial tool, and Jenkins is a open source tool. I think learning Jenkins is more important than Travis. So I think it's worth to spend a few more time in Jenkins in the next session, so that we are confident about the Jenkins flow. So next session, again, I'll iterate the same thing in a different way, so that you will get an idea of how Jenkins pipeline, how the architecture works and how we can actually configure Jenkins. I was able to cover as much as possible. I will continue. I will iterate the same thing again, and feel free to ask any more questions that you have. It's all about like the end of the goal is to actually make ourselves confident about the course, right? Okay, so it's out of time now, 11 o'clock. So we will continue to try to actually deploy our Jenkins pipeline into AWS EBS in the next session. Okay. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your time. Let's meet in the next session then. Bye for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Anil.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.